The Copper Scroll, history's most mysterious treasure list. Not etched into delicate parchment nor painted on walls, this mysterious artifact was engraved onto metal, an ancient message still resisting interpretation to this day. From one mystery carved in stone to another inscribed on copper, we turn to an enigma that might lead to immense buried wealth. Or perhaps something even stranger, the Copper Scroll. Unlike any other document discovered near the Dead Sea, this artifact is not a religious manuscript. Instead, it appears to be a treasure list engraved into metal, prophetic scripture, or historical chronicle, pointing to hoards of gold and silver stashed in unknown locations, none of which have ever been found. What exactly is this ancient scroll? Who authored it? And most importantly, where is the treasure it refers to? Unearthed in 1952, the Copper Scroll was discovered inside a cave, the same archaeological site famous for yielding the Dead Sea Scrolls. But while other scrolls were penned on papyrus or animal hide and contained sacred texts, laws, and theological commentary, this one stood apart. It was engraved onto thin sheets of copper, so brittle that they had to be separated and flattened piece by piece. The language of the text, while resembling Hebrew, contained strange variations, almost as if written in a coded dialect, and the content, nothing like the other scrolls found nearby. Instead of religious teachings, the Copper Scroll read more like an inventory list, cataloging more than 60 hiding places, each supposedly holding vast reserves of gold, silver, and other riches. The scale of wealth described is mind-boggling, potentially worth billions by modern estimates. Yet despite nearly a century of interest and effort, not a single stash mentioned in the scroll has been conclusively uncovered. Some scholars suggest that these riches may have been secreted away by Jewish leaders during the Roman siege of Jerusalem in 70 CE, possibly treasures from the Second Temple, or even from the legendary Temple of Solomon. Others believe it predates Roman times altogether, possibly tied to older Jewish priestly factions or the ascetic sect thought to have lived at Qumran. Ideas about the scroll's purpose are as varied as the treasure seekers who have pursued it. Some interpret it as an authentic record of hidden treasure, a desperate attempt to safeguard sacred wealth before it could be stolen or destroyed. If true, the Copper Scroll could be a roadmap to the greatest unclaimed treasure trove of the ancient world. But not everyone agrees. Some scholars argue that the document might be a hoax, or perhaps a symbolic work never meant to be read literally. They point to the odd language, the imprecise locations, and the unbelievable quantities of riches. Could the Copper Scroll be an elaborate fiction, designed to mislead or serve a metaphorical purpose? Or is it a real guide, its meaning simply lost to time? One of the biggest obstacles in solving the mystery lies in the vague and outdated place names. Many of the locations mentioned in the text no longer exist or have changed beyond recognition. Unlike traditional treasure maps, which include clear geographic markers, the Copper Scroll is filled with obscure references to courtyards, tunnels, reservoirs, and burial sites without any coordinates or direction. As a result, every expedition ends in frustration. Since its discovery, archaeologists and amateur adventurers alike have combed the deserts and hills of the region, hoping to find even a fragment of what the scroll describes. While a few have claimed promising leads, none have confirmed any discovery. The greatest question still hangs in the air. If the treasure ever existed, has it already been looted, or is it still buried beneath layers of dust and history, waiting to be found? Another intriguing question is why the Copper Scroll was made of metal at all. All other Dead Sea Scrolls were written on materials meant for study by religious elites, fragile, sacred, and ephemeral. But this scroll, it was built to endure. Whoever engraved it clearly wanted the message to withstand the ages, perhaps as a final failsafe to ensure the treasure's location would never be forgotten. The effort involved in carving the list into copper hints that what it described was of extraordinary importance. If it's genuine, and if even a portion of the treasure is still hidden, Finding it would represent one of the most astounding archaeological discoveries in history. Such a find could rewrite our understanding of ancient religious institutions, wealth distribution, and political upheaval. Yet if the scroll is nothing more than an ancient puzzle or misunderstanding, then it remains one of history's most sophisticated riddles, an unsolved code from the past that continues to fascinate and confound. Was this scroll a last cry for help from a collapsing civilization, a coded message from a long-lost sect, or simply a trick meant to lead us in circles? To this day, the Copper Scroll remains an unsolved mystery, a cryptic document that hints at vast treasures and lost knowledge. It offers just enough detail to ignite the imagination, but not enough to draw a clear map, etched into metal and buried in silence. And while some mysteries are written in scripture or carved into stone, others, like this one, are. But sometimes, the most compelling enigmas aren't written at all, they're hidden in the ruins of forgotten cities, echoing through time, reminding us how much of our past is still waiting to be uncovered. The Rohonc Manuscript, a cryptic volume that defies decoding, a manuscript cloaked in secrecy, penned in an unrecognizable script, has bewildered academics, codebreakers, and linguists for more than 2 centuries. This is the Rohonc Manuscript, an enigma in book form, and among the most perplexing unresolved mysteries ever discovered. The tale of the Rohonc Manuscript begins in Hungary, though its origins seem to reach much deeper into the past. The document made its first known appearance in the early 1800s when Gustav Bathiani, an aristocrat, presented it to the Hungarian Academy of Sciences. It had resided within his family's personal library, but how it ended up there remains a mystery. Physically, the manuscript isn't imposing, only 448 pages long, but each sheet is covered in lines of intricate, unknown script, written left to right. The dense passages feature unique glyphs not found in any known language system. At a glance, the manuscript resembles a medieval document, possibly religious or historical, but the problem is clear: no one can interpret it. The writing system is composed of over 200 distinct characters, exceeding the number of symbols used in any established alphabet or script, and the deeper researchers dig, the stranger it becomes. The mystery doesn't stop with the writing alone. The manuscript also contains elaborate drawings. These images portray religious ceremonies, armed conflicts, scenes of city life, and individuals dressed as saints, monarchs, and warriors. Curiously, the illustrations blend elements from Christian, Islamic, and Hindu iconography, an unusual combination for a single work. The diversity of spiritual references only fuels the confusion. If it were a Christian text, why include imagery linked to Eastern religions? If it leaned toward Islamic or Hindu beliefs, why are crosses so prominent? Regardless of its content or origin, one thing is clear: this book was meant to be remembered. The calligraphy is precise, the artwork intentionally integrated. Clearly, the author hoped it would be understood, yet its meaning has remained out of reach for generations. Across more than 200 years, many have tried to unlock the secrets of the Rohonc Manuscript: linguists, historians, cryptanalysts, even military intelligence experts, but all have come up empty-handed. One of the earliest significant attempts occurred in the 1800s, when Hungarian researchers compared the text to regional languages like Hungarian, Latin, Romanian, and even Sanskrit. No connections were found. Later, in the 20th century, cryptologists applied frequency analysis, a method used to break codes by identifying repeated patterns. Again, the results were inconclusive. While certain characters appeared more frequently, the sequence and repetition didn't align with the structure of any known grammatical system. It's as if the manuscript was written in a forgotten tongue, or worse, complete gibberish. Over time, a wide array of hypotheses have been suggested, some grounded in plausibility, others veer into the realm of speculation. One idea proposes that the manuscript is a spiritual text created by an obscure Christian sect, perhaps one that blended multiple religious philosophies that could explain the symbolic mixture, but not the untraceable language. Another possibility is that the writing reflects a lost dialect once spoken by a small, isolated community that vanished without a trace. Some have even linked it to the secular Hungarian rover's script, an ancient Hungarian writing system, but the structure doesn't align. Then there's the possibility that the entire manuscript is a fabrication. Skeptics argue that it might be a 19th century hoax, devised to deceive scholars. They point to the seeming randomness of the characters and the lack of linguistic consistency. If this theory is true, it raises a different question. Why go to such lengths? Was it a prank? A fabricated antique designed to fool experts? If it was a forgery, the forger was incredibly committed, creating hundreds of pages of continuous text, using a massive array of unique symbols and including intricate illustrations. And yet, no one has conclusively proven it to be fake. Authentic or not, the Rohonc Manuscript continues to perplex. If it's meaningless, why put so much work into it? If the language is invented, why develop over 200 distinct characters, far more than needed for any basic cipher? Most importantly, why has no one cracked it yet? Even with today's advanced tools and analytical software, not a single sentence of the text has been translated. The manuscript remains preserved in Budapest, stored safely in the Hungarian Academy of Sciences, and it still challenges anyone who dares to interpret it. Was it an undiscovered language, a coded message, or an elaborate historical ruse? Nobody knows until someone finally deciphers it. The Rohonc Manuscript will stand as one of the most enigmatic literary mysteries ever unearthed. But it's not alone. Sometimes, the answers we seek aren't buried in ink, but etched in stone, hidden beneath soil, or lost to time. The Rohonc Manuscript is a story of silent symbols, and yet, history holds many other secrets, waiting to speak. The disappearance of the Clovis culture, America's forgotten ancestors. This enigma doesn't revolve around a mysterious object or a puzzling book. It centers on an entire ancient culture that vanished without a trace. A civilization that once thrived for millennia, only to fade away, leaving behind remnants of their world and one persistent mystery. What became of the Clovis people? The Clovis civilization represents one of the most enigmatic periods in early North American history. Dating back approximately 13,000 years, they are among the earliest known societies to have existed on the continent. The Clovis people were accomplished hunters, famed for their unique and precise Clovis points, finely shaped stone spear tips scattered across the Americas. Crafted from materials like flint, these weapons hint at a society rich in shared expertise, interconnected trade, and deep ecological knowledge. For a long time, scholars believed the Clovis people were the first humans to set foot in the New World, crossing from Siberia over the Bering Land Bridge. Then, quite suddenly, they were gone. Their traces vanished from the archaeological landscape, with no clear reason why such a large and successful culture would collapse so abruptly. The identification of the Clovis people began in the early 1900s, when distinctive spear tips were discovered near Clovis, New Mexico, leading to the naming of the culture. These tools were unearthed beside the remains of Ice Age megafauna, such as mammoths and bison, showing that the Clovis were adept hunters who thrived during Earth's last major glacial period. As more Clovis-related sites emerged across the United States, Canada, and even parts of South America, it became evident that this wasn't a tiny, isolated tribe. The Clovis were far-reaching and mobile, and they left clear markers of a prosperous hunter-gatherer society. Then, around 12,800 years ago, their artifacts stopped appearing. The archaeological record goes quiet. There's no concrete evidence of warfare, no indication of famine, and no obvious trigger for their disappearance. It's as if the Clovis people simply ceased to exist, leaving behind only tools and skeletal remains. This abrupt vanishing has confounded researchers for generations, giving rise to many competing theories. One of the most well-known explanations is the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis. This theory proposes that a comet or asteroid struck the Earth, specifically North America, around the same time the Clovis culture disappeared. The impact would have sparked widespread fires, sending massive amounts of smoke and debris into the atmosphere, resulting in a sudden return to near-ice age conditions. This rapid climate shift, known as the Younger Dryas cooling period, may have devastated the ecosystems the Clovis relied upon, killing off the large prey animals they hunted and plunging their society into collapse. Supporting this theory is a dark carbon-rich layer in the soil nicknamed the black mat, found at several Clovis dig sites. This layer contains nanodiamonds, which some scientists link to a cosmic impact. If correct, the Clovis culture could have been among the first human societies to fall victim to a planetary scale catastrophe. An alternative hypothesis suggests the Clovis didn't truly vanish. They evolved and integrated with other developing cultures. As the Ice Age came to an end, and large animals like mammoths and mastodons died out, the Clovis may have adapted their hunting practices and survival methods. Instead of pursuing massive game, they may have targeted smaller animals and adopted new tools and traditions. This cultural transformation could have given rise to subsequent groups, such as the Folsom people, who appear in the archaeological record shortly after the Clovis disappear. If this is the case, the Clovis didn't go extinct, they simply changed and survived in new forms. There is also a more ominous idea that some unknown disaster or event wiped them out. Some researchers cite evidence that many Ice Age creatures, including saber-toothed cats, giant ground sloths, and mammoths, disappeared in the same short time frame. This has led to speculation that whatever caused the megafaunal extinctions may have also spelled the end for the Clovis people. Was it a lethal disease, a conflict with other human groups, or a sudden environmental collapse? Something removed them from history with astonishing speed. But the mystery deepens further. Increasing archaeological discoveries suggest that humans may have arrived in the Americas long before the Clovis. Sites like Monte Verde in Chile and the Gold Site in Texas contain artifacts that are thousands of years older than any Clovis tools. These findings cast doubt on the once dominant theory that the Clovis were the first Americans. If others were already here, who exactly were the Clovis? Were they a standalone culture, or just one part of a much older and more complex wave of human migration? Some experts now think the Clovis may have been the last remnants of a civilization that predates the Ice Age itself, one that was nearly erased by a cataclysm we still don't fully understand. Despite the numerous ideas and growing evidence, the true fate of the Clovis remains elusive. Did they fall to climate change? Were they victims of a spaceborne disaster? Or did they simply blend into other cultures, leaving behind nothing but their distinctive tools and bones? The answer lies buried beneath layers of earth fragments of a people whose story remains untold. The Clovis left no written words, only sharpened stone and ancient remains. Were they swept away by disaster, or did they fade gradually, their descendants carried forward in later civilizations? History is full of such tale societies that rose, thrived, and then disappeared, leaving us only pieces to piece together. And sometimes, what they leave behind isn't just stone or bone, it's a mystery that refuses to die. The wandering stones of Death Valley, nature's silent puzzle. Across the scorched and desolate lands of Death Valley lies a phenomenon that science has long struggled to fully comprehend. In this unforgiving, sun-blasted wilderness, a strange mystery has captivated scientists and observers alike for generations. Massive rocks, some weighing hundreds of pounds, seem to travel across the desert floor entirely on their own, carving long, winding trails behind them. No footprints, no signs of interference, no visible source of movement. The stones appear to glide silently, as though guided by an invisible force. This is the bizarre case of the sailing stones of Racetrack Playa, one of the most baffling natural enigmas on the planet. Tucked deep within a remote section of Death Valley National Park, Racetrack Playa is a dry, ancient lake bed of vast, cracked, sun-bleached flatland that stretches endlessly in all directions. It's a surreal, alien-like environment where silence dominates and the heat shimmers across the horizon. Scattered across this barren landscape are numerous large rocks, some the size of footballs, others tipping the scale at over 700 pounds. Each stone is marked by a distinctive trail in the dirt behind Itas. If it had been dragged through the earth by a hidden hand, some paths run perfectly straight, others twist, turn, or zigzag in unpredictable ways. A few stones have even flipped mid-journey, but the fundamental question remains: what causes them to move? For decades, this mystery has fascinated scientists, geologists, and adventurers alike, but the rocks don't move often. Many sit idle for years before shifting again. There have been no eyewitness accounts of the stones in motion, only their strange serpentine trails left behind. Early explanations ranged from gravity distortions to seismic activity, yet none fully accounted for the movement across such a flat and solid surface. Some believed high winds might be strong enough to shove the rocks, but given their weight, even Death Valley's infamous gusts seemed too weak. Others theorized that rare rainfalls might create a slick surface that allows the stones to slide, but without concrete proof, the puzzle persisted. Over the years, more imaginative theories took hold. Some connected the phenomenon to alien activity, pointing to frequent UFO sightings in the region. Others turned to the paranormal, speculating that spirits or supernatural forces might be responsible. These ideas, however, offered little in the way of credible evidence. The fact that the stones moved along distinct paths hinted at an underlying natural process, not random chaos. The eeriest detail: in some cases, the tracks seemed to end abruptly, as though the rocks had lifted off the ground, hovered, and then dropped again in a new spot. It wasn't until 2014 that the mystery finally yielded to modern science. Using time-lapse cameras and GPS tracking, researchers observed the rocks moving in real time for the first time ever. The answer turned out to be a unique blend of weather conditions. During cold winter nights, rare rains left a shallow layer of water on the playa's surface. As temperatures dropped, this water froze into a thin sheet of ice, with the rocks embedded in place. Then, as the sun rose and the ice began to thaw, light winds pushed the melting ice sheets, causing them to gently slide across the playa and drag the rocks along. The motion was so slow and subtle that it had gone unnoticed by the human eye for centuries. Even with the 2014 breakthrough, questions still remain. Why do only certain rocks move, even when conditions appear identical? Why do some trails last for decades, while others vanish quickly? And if this phenomenon has occurred for centuries, how many other places on Earth might host similar secrets still hidden? This discovery offered the first credible scientific explanation for the phenomenon. Yet even with an answer, the sailing stones continue to hold a sense of wonder. In many ways, they remain one of Earth's most curious natural mysteries, from forgotten scrolls buried in desert caves to stones that drift across dry lake beds. The mysteries of our planet remind us just how much remains unexplored, unanswered, and unseen. The Sunken City of Cuba. A lost civilization beneath the waves. Throughout history, there are countless forgotten civilizations, abandoned cities, and ruins that defy explanation. Some of these mysteries are concealed by dense jungles, while others are buried beneath shifting sands. But occasionally, something remarkable surfaces from beneath the ocean, hinting that entire chapters of human history may still be missing. One such enigma is the story of Nanmadol, an ancient city built on water, raising questions about how ancient societies constructed such grand structures in remote and hostile environments. Yet, it is far from the only place where the sea has kept its secrets hidden. Off the coast of Cuba, deep beneath the ocean's surface, lies something even more astonishing. A vast submerged city that some believe could be more than 10,000 years old. The discovery of what is now referred to as the Cuban underwater city has become one of the most controversial and debated findings in recent years. In 2001, a team of researchers collaborating with the Canadian company Advanced Digital Communications was scanning the seafloor off Cuba's Guanacaves Peninsula. Led by ocean engineer Paulina Zalitsky, the group initially sought evidence of Spanish shipwrecks, but what they uncovered was far beyond their expectations. The sonar scans revealed an array of symmetrical structures arranged in geometric patterns that clearly did not appear to be natural formations. The images suggested that these were massive stone structures resembling the layout of an ancient city, complete with pyramids, roads, and what seemed to be buildings aligned in a grid-like formation. Even more perplexing was the fact that these structures were located nearly 2,000 feet beneath the surface. At this depth, it was inconceivable that these structures could have been built during the recorded history of humankind, at least not based on what we currently understand. The team was astounded. If these structures were indeed human-made, they would have had to have been constructed at a time when sea levels were much lower, potentially before the last ice age, over 10,000 years ago. This would mean that the city predates not only the Great Pyramids of Egypt and Stonehenge, but also Göbekli Tepe, one of the earliest known temple complexes on Earth. If this theory is true, it would force a complete rethinking of ancient history. But the question remains, how could such a vast city exist beneath the ocean? Several theories emerged almost immediately. Some suggested that this could be the remains of an ancient civilization that once inhabited the Caribbean, but was later submerged by rising sea levels. Others connected it to the legendary lost civilization of Atlantis, though many archaeologists dismissed this theory as pseudo. Another idea proposed that these formations might be the remnants of a land bridge that once connected Cuba to Mexico, Ica Yucatan Peninsula, indicating a different story of migration and settlement in the Americas. With such a groundbreaking discovery, many expected further investigations and research. However, after the initial announcement, progress in confirming the findings seemed to stall. Years later, a remote operated vehicle ROV was deployed to capture images of the site. The footage showed large cut stone blocks, seemingly stacked together, resembling ruins, but without physical samples or deeper analysis. No firm conclusions could be made. One of the key reasons for the lack of follow-up research is the challenging depth at which the city lies. Nearly 2,000 feet beneath the ocean. Exploration at this depth is virtually impossible without highly specialized submersibles, which require significant funding and logistical coordination. Unlike shallower sites, where divers can directly excavate, anything at such depths must be studied remotely, making it difficult to analyze and fully comprehend the structure's origin. Skeptics have proposed alternative explanations. Some geologists suggest that the formations could be natural geological structures, with seismic activity fracturing rock in a way that makes it look like man-made buildings. Others argue that the sonar data was misinterpreted, creating an illusion of ancient ruins. Yet, the distinct geometric patterns and alignment of these structures make these natural explanations seem less plausible to those who have reviewed the original scans. Adding to the mystery is the lack of continued access to detailed research. After the initial discovery, information about the site became scarce, fueling speculations that political tensions between Cuba and the United States may have played a role in halting further exploration. Some believe that confirming the discovery could disrupt conventional historical narratives, making it a politically sensitive issue. Despite the lack of definitive answers, the concept of an ancient city submerged beneath the Caribbean continues to captivate imaginations worldwide. Should further exploration take place, it could provide evidence of a lost civilization, hidden for thousands of years beneath the waves. The ocean is known for concealing history, preserving secrets beneath its vast depths for millennia. The discovery of the so-called Cuban underwater city raises profound questions about ancient civilizations that may have been lost to time. Yet, it's not the only enigma to challenge our understanding of the past. Some mysteries are buried beneath the sea, others beneath the sands, and some are hidden in the very languages left behind by those who once ruled the earth. fascinating artifact from ancient history, the Iron Pillar of Delhi is a wonder that challenges modern understanding of metallurgy. While some claim this monument to be evidence of extraterrestrial intervention, this theory lacks substantial proof. The Iron Pillar, however, has generated much curiosity and debate over its rust-resistant properties and the advanced engineering behind it. The Iron Pillar, standing over 7 meters tall and weighing more than 6 tons, is an enigmatic creation. Situated in Delhi, India, it has withstood the test of time for over 1,600 years, despite being exposed to the harsh elements. Unlike any other iron structure from antiquity, the pillar shows remarkably little corrosion, raising questions about how such a feat was achieved using ancient methods. Many experts believe that the Iron Pillar was forged using advanced knowledge of metallurgy that was far ahead of its time. Some attribute its resistance to rust to a specific alloy mix that prevented oxidation. Others speculate that the pillar was coated with a special kind of preservative, possibly a mix of chemicals that has yet to be identified. However, the exact technique remains a mystery, and there is no definitive explanation for its preservation. The pillar's inscription, written in Sanskrit, points to its historical significance, but it does not provide any clues about the technology or methods used to create it. Some have proposed that this ancient metalworking technique was either forgotten or lost through the centuries. Others theorize that the craftsmanship of the pillar could be a result of extraterrestrial influence, though such claims are unsubstantiated by credible evidence. Despite the outlandish theories, there are more grounded explanations. Some scholars argue that the Iron Pillar was a tribute to the ancient Indian king Chandragupta II, and that it was created by skilled artisans who used highly advanced techniques of ironworking. The absence of rust on the pillar could, in theory, be the result of a precise process used during its manufacture and accomplishment that we may yet understand through further research. Some critics suggest that the pillar's resistance to rust is not as extraordinary as it seems. They point out that certain iron alloys are naturally resistant to corrosion, and that it could be the result of a specific combination of environmental conditions. However, this still doesn't explain the fine craftsmanship or the structure's incredible durability over such a long period of time. The true significance of the Iron Pillar, however, goes beyond its chemical properties. It stands as a reminder of the remarkable achievements of ancient civilizations and the knowledge they possessed. The mystery surrounding its creation is a testament to the sophistication of ancient engineers and metallurgists, who may have unlocked secrets of material science that we have yet to fully grasp. The Iron Pillar of Delhi is more than just an artifact. It is a symbol of lost knowledge and technological prowess. The question remains, how could such an advanced structure have been created without the modern tools and knowledge we take for granted today? While the true story of its creation may never be fully understood, it challenges our assumptions about ancient capabilities and invites us to reconsider the timeline of human achievement. In the end, the Iron Pillar of Delhi serves as a powerful reminder of the many mysteries of the past. Whether it was created through human ingenuity or some other means, the pillar's continued existence offers a glimpse into a lost chapter of history, a chapter that may hold the key to understanding how much we have forgotten about ancient technologies and the civilizations that once thrived. Ratanaba, the hidden empire. Beneath the Amazon, buried beneath centuries of myth and jungle, some mysteries resist time itself. While the tomb of China's first emperor remains locked in soil and legend, other ancient marvels may have been overtaken by nature, entire societies swallowed by forests, waiting to be uncovered. One such legend points to the heart of the Amazon, a forgotten city that some call the Brazilian Atlantis. Stories of a vanished civilization deep within the Amazon rainforest have circulated for generations. Long before Europeans ever arrived on the continent, indigenous communities told tales of sprawling cities made of stone, hidden beneath thick jungle canopies, cloaked in vines, and buried beneath the earth. For centuries, these accounts were dismissed, seen as folklore. Many believed the Amazon was far too inhospitable to support large-scale, advanced societies. But new evidence is changing that perception, and the myth of Ratanaba, the so-called Brazilian Atlantis, is gaining fresh attention. This mystery revolves around the theory that, deep in the Amazon, lies the remnants of an ancient society, one as advanced and complex as any of the great civilizations of the past. Monumental buildings, intricate road systems, and perhaps even a written language, not submerged beneath the sea, as Atlantis was said to be, but consumed by rainforest, hidden so well that the canopy above masks every trace. Some of the most compelling clues have emerged through technology. In recent decades, advancements like LiDAR light detection and ranging have allowed scientists to digitally strip away the jungle's surface and peer beneath the trees. What they've found is extraordinary. Geometric shapes, organized patterns, and what appear to be the foundations of long-lost cities, all in areas once thought untouched by human hands. These discoveries point to a civilization that may have practiced large-scale urban planning. Cities, perhaps, that thrived centuries ago and were only recently revealed to science. The connection to Atlantis partly stems from historical explorations. In the early 1900s, British explorer Percy Fawcett became obsessed with finding what he called the City of Z, a lost metropolis he believed lay hidden within the Amazon. Drawing from ancient manuscripts and indigenous lore, he mounted an expedition in 1925 and was never heard from again. His disappearance only fueled belief that something incredible might lie beneath the canopy. Since then, curiosity has grown, and so has the evidence. Massive geoglyphs, enormous geometric carvings in the earth, have been found across the region, echoing patterns seen in other ancient cultures, such as the Nazca lines in Peru. These findings challenge the notion that the Amazon was an untouched wilderness, suggesting instead that it was once home to complex societies capable of reshaping the land. But if such a civilization really existed, what led to its downfall? Some researchers believe diseases introduced by early European contact may have decimated local populations before their cities could be documented. Others argue environmental shifts or internal collapse may have caused them to vanish. In the Amazon, nature reclaims quickly. Within decades, thick vegetation can erase all signs of human presence. If their buildings were made of stone, it's possible the ruins are still there, buried under centuries of growth, waiting for discovery. Still, countless questions remain. If these ancient people had writing, where are their texts? If they built monumental temples or royal palaces, why haven't we uncovered any like those of the Maya or Inca? Could entire cities really lie hidden beneath the forest floor? Perhaps the most fascinating part of the Ratanaba mystery is that we haven't solved it, not because we lack knowledge, but because we simply haven't looked deeply enough. The Amazon is one of the least explored places on Earth. Its dense canopy hides what could be one of the most astonishing archaeological finds in human history. With every LiDAR scan, with every expedition, we get closer to what might be a groundbreaking truth that a forgotten civilization once flourished, where now only jungle remains. These civilizations, whether overtaken by rainforest or swallowed by ocean, often leave behind fragments, ruins, artifacts, myths, and the story of Ratanaba, whether legend or reality, remains one of the most intriguing puzzles of our past. But not every forgotten wonder lies hidden. Some have been unearthed, and with them, stories far stranger than fiction. In one such case, a legendary discovery brought not only treasure, but a myth that continues to enchant the world even today. The sunken sanctuaries of Mahabalipuram, India's lost temples beneath the sea. Beneath the surface of the ocean lies the story of an ancient temple complex, once standing proudly along the Indian coast, now lost to the sea. Legend tells of 7 majestic shrines, their spires stretching high into the heavens, awe-inspiring to all who laid eyes on them. But, as the tale goes, the gods, displeased with their grandeur, unleashed a great deluge that swallowed 6 of them, leaving only one to survive. The Shore Temple, this lone surviving monument, still stands today, a stunning testament to ancient craftsmanship, perched right on the edge of the Ica Stones, shaped by centuries of ocean winds and salt spray. But was it truly once part of a larger ensemble of sacred structures now vanished? For generations, scholars debated the truth behind the legend. Was it simply myth, handed down through oral tradition with no foundation in reality? Everything changed in 2004, when a colossal tsunami, the likes of which had rarely been seen, struck the Indian Ocean. The resulting waves ravaged coastlines, reshaping landscapes across nations. And as the ocean receded from the shores of Mahabalipuram, it uncovered a stunning secret. From beneath the waves emerged massive stone remnants, columns, blocks, and what appeared to be ancient foundations, suddenly exposed for the first time in hundreds of years. Eyewitnesses described enormous walls and detailed sculptures, their engravings seemingly untouched by the passage of time. This unexpected revelation sparked intense interest among marine scientists and archaeologists. An immediate series of underwater expeditions was launched. What they uncovered confirmed the suspicions. Truly ancient structures lay hidden beneath the waves. Divers documented submerged ruins organized in clear patterns, including intricately decorated stonework and foundational elements that pointed to a long-lost temple complex or settlement once standing where only ocean now remains. Some of these underwater features were discovered hundreds of meters offshore, buried under thick layers of silt, sand, and marine debris. The implications were groundbreaking. The notion that entire cities or sacred spaces might be submerged wasn't just folklore anymore, it was real. So what truly happened to these mysterious temples of Mahabalipuram? One theory suggests that the complex was gradually claimed by rising sea levels, or perhaps destroyed in a singular cataclysmic event, like a tsunami. Given Mahabalipuram's coastal location along the Bay of Bengal, it's highly vulnerable to erosion and flooding. Some experts argue that the temples weren't destroyed all at once, but instead were slowly swallowed by the ocean over many centuries, with only the Shore Temple resisting nature's encroachment. Another explanation links these ruins to the mythical Kumari Kandama, lost continent said to have once existed in the southern seas, described in ancient Tamil lore. These stories speak of a highly advanced civilization erased by a massive flood, much like the tales of Atlantis. While no conclusive proof of this continent exists, the legends persist, leading some to wonder whether the temples of Mahabalipuram might have been part of a greater sunken world. There's also the possibility that the temples were abandoned intentionally. As ruling dynasties fell and new powers rose, priorities may have shifted. The once sacred complexes might have been left behind, weakened over time by storms, tremors, and the relentless advance of the sea gradually disintegrating beneath the waves. Yet, perhaps the most fascinating aspect of the Seven Pagodas legend is the idea that some of these sunken structures may still be largely intact, lying hidden just out of reach beneath the waves. The tsunami of 2004 offered a rare glimpse, momentary unveiling before the tides reclaimed what had been briefly revealed. Underwater archaeology remains an evolving science. With advancing technologies, sonar imaging, remotely operated submersibles, and 3D seabed mapping, future expeditions may reveal far more than we've seen so far. Researchers believe that further exploration could uncover entire temple grounds, submerged carvings, and possibly even ancient inscriptions that explain who created these sacred spaces and why they eventually disappeared. For now, the Shore Temple stands alone, an elegant guardian watching over the waves, keeping silent vigil over the secrets of its submerged kin. But the discovery of ruins beneath the water has reshaped our understanding of Mahabalipuram forever. What was once thought to be mere myth now holds undeniable physical evidence, proof that the ocean holds vast, hidden chapters of our collective past. And Mahabalipuram is not the only place. All around the world, ancient cities, structures, and civilizations rest beneath the sea, waiting to be rediscovered, waiting for us to remember. Genghis Khan, born as Ugin around 1162, was the founder of the Mongol Empire, the largest contiguous empire in the history of mankind. Through unyielding military strategy, unmatched force, and brilliant tactics, he united the fragmented Mongol tribes and established an empire stretching from China to Persia, crushing all who opposed him. He revolutionized warfare, created a complex trade network along the Silk Road, and left an indelible mark on history. Yet, despite his numerous conquests and immense influence, the location of his burial remains unknown, one of the most perplexing, unsolved mysteries in history. As legend has it, Genghis Khan passed away in 1227 during a campaign against the Western Xia dynasty in China. Some reports suggest he died in battle. The enigmatic burial he succumbed to illness. A puzzle was severely injured after falling from his horse. His death was concealed for as long as possible to avoid causing unrest within the empire. However, what happened to his body after that is a mystery. Mongol tradition required that the leader's burial be kept secret, hidden away from the world. Historical accounts state that those tasked with transporting his body were ordered to kill anyone they encountered to preserve the secrecy of the burial. Some versions of the story claim that after the grave was dug, the soldiers who performed the burial were also executed, ensuring that no one could ever reveal the location. It is said that a river was diverted to flow over the site, erasing all signs of its existence. Another legend suggests that an army of 1,000 horses trampled the ground to flatten it, leaving no evidence of digging. Others believe trees were planted to completely conceal the tomb, ensuring no one would disturb Genghis Khan's eternal rest. For centuries, historians and treasure hunters have searched for the tomb, convinced it could contain priceless treasures, relics from his campaigns, and provide deeper insights into one of the most mysterious rulers in history. Yet, despite numerous attempts, no trace of his burial site has ever been found. Many theories about the location of his tomb exist. The most widely held belief is that Genghis Khan was buried somewhere in the Kente Mountains of modern-day Mongolia, a place he considered sacred. This area, known as Ica or the Great Taboo, was closed to outsiders for centuries, protected by an elite group of Mongol guards called the Dark. The area remained untouched, with anyone attempting to enter facing execution. Some theorists believe the tomb lies beneath Burkan Kaldon, the mountain where Genghis Khan is said to have sought refuge in his youth. The Mongols revered this mountain, and Khan himself declared it should remain protected for all eternity. But to this day, no evidence of a tomb has been discovered there. Another theory suggests that Genghis Khan's remains were moved to a more remote location, possibly in China. Some speculate that his followers transported him to the Ordos region, where a shrine was later constructed in his honor. However, this site is believed to be a memorial rather than an actual burial place. There are also theories suggesting the tomb could be hidden beneath a body of water, buried in sand dunes, or concealed in an underground chamber that remains undiscovered. The absence of solid historical records only amplifies the speculation, making the search more challenging as each year passes. In recent times, several archaeological efforts have attempted to locate the tomb using satellite imagery, ground-penetrating radar, and historical records. The most ambitious of these initiatives took place in the early 2000s, when a team of researchers and Mongolian scholars worked together to scan the Kente Mountains for signs of an ancient burial site. Despite significant advancements in technology, no definitive evidence has surfaced. A major challenge in this search is Mongolia's deep cultural respect for Genghis Khan's final wishes. Many Mongolians hold the belief that the tomb should remain undisturbed, in accordance with Khan's command. Excavating the site, should it be found, would be viewed as a violation of sacred tradition. This sentiment has led to hesitance in conducting large-scale digs. Despite international archaeologists' interest in uncovering the tomb, adding to the mystery, some accounts suggest the tomb may have been looted or destroyed long ago. If this is true, it could mean that even if the burial site is located, its treasures and historical artifacts may already be lost. Others, however, argue that the tomb remains intact, hidden beneath layers of time, waiting to be uncovered. The lost tomb of Genghis Khan remains one of the most compelling archaeological enigmas of all time. Unlike other rulers, whose graves are marked with grand monuments and elaborate tombs, Khan's final resting place was intentionally erased, concealed, and protected by both natural and human forces. For historians, discovering his tomb would be one of the most significant archaeological findings in modern history, potentially offering insight into his life, his death, and the empire he built. But for the Mongolian people, the secrecy surrounding his burial is seen as part of his legacy, proof that even in death, the mighty Genghis Khan remains untouchable. Whether his tomb is hidden beneath a mountain, deep within an undiscovered valley, or in an entirely different location, the final resting place of Genghis Khan continues to elude discovery. Perhaps, as some believe, it is meant to remain a secret forever. History is filled with mysteries, some buried beneath the earth, others lost beneath the waves, and some concealed right before our eyes, waiting to be uncovered. The Ica Stones, carvings that defy our understanding of history. Throughout history, there have been mysterious artifacts and inscriptions that have sparked heated debates and intrigued scholars. Some objects feature intricate designs, puzzling depictions, and images that seem to challenge everything we think we know about our past. Deep in the deserts of Peru lies a collection of such enigmatic carvings, known as the Ica Stones, which have fueled controversy for decades. These thousands of smooth, engraved stones appear to tell a tale that no one can fully explain. Carved into their surfaces are depictions of long-extinct animals, advanced surgical techniques, and, perhaps most shockingly, humans coexisting with dinosaurs. Do these stones provide evidence of an ancient chapter in history? Could they be a complex hoax, or is there something even stranger behind them? The Ica Stones first caught public attention in the 1960s, when a Peruvian physician, Dr. Javier Cabrera Darquea, received one as a gift for his birthday. The stone, dark and smooth, featured an intricate carving of a prehistoric Fishan image that shouldn't have been known to ancient people. This discovery intrigued Cabrera, prompting him to search for more. What he uncovered was nothing short of astonishing. Thousands of similar stones were found scattered around the dry landscape near the small town of Ica, buried in nearby caves, each one bearing carvings, ranging from the bizarre to the seemingly impossible. Among these carvings were humanoid figures riding dinosaurs, depictions of heart and brain surgeries, and even what appeared to be star maps. The images suggested knowledge that seemed far beyond what ancient civilizations should have been capable of. The quantity of the stones is equally mind-boggling. Estimates suggest that tens of thousands exist, many now held in private collections or small museums throughout Peru. Yet, the origins of these stones remain shrouded in mystery. Who created them? When were they made? And perhaps most importantly, why do they feature scenes that appear impossible? One of the most baffling aspects of the Ica Stones is their portrayal of dinosaurs. The carvings depict creatures with long necks, plated backs, and spiked tails similar to known species like the Triceratops and Stegosaurus. Mainstream history tells us that dinosaurs went extinct approximately 65 million years ago, long before humans ever walked the earth. Yet, The stones seem to imply that their creators had first-hand knowledge of these ancient creatures. Does this provide evidence that dinosaurs and humans once shared the planet? Supporters of alternative history theories believe the stones may represent evidence of a lost civilization that existed much earlier than conventional timelines suggest. Even more perplexing are the images of advanced medical procedures. Some stones feature intricate depictions of surgical operations, such as open-heart surgery, organ transplants, and what appears to be brain surgery. The figures in these carvings hold tools that resemble scalpels and forceps, working with a level of expertise that shouldn't have been present in the ancient world. Dr. Cabrera himself was convinced that the Ica stones were proof of a technologically advanced civilization that predated known history. He theorized that the carvings depicted the story of an ancient race that once thrived on Earth, possessing advanced knowledge of medicine, astronomy, and even space travel. According to Cabrera's hypothesis, this civilization eventually disappeared, leaving behind the Ica Stones as their only legacy. Despite their incredible imagery, the Ica Stones have been surrounded by controversy ever since their discovery. Skepticism regarding their authenticity has been persistent. In the 1970s, a local farmer named Basilio Usua admitted to carving some of the stones himself, using a knife and simple tools to create the designs. He even demonstrated the process to journalists, showing how he could replicate similar carvings in just a few hours. After this revelation, many dismissed the Ica stones as an elaborate hoax. If a single farmer could create the engravings so easily, then it seemed logical to assume the entire collection must be fake. The Peruvian government classified the stones as forgeries, and mainstream archaeologists largely abandoned them as serious subjects for study. However, the controversy didn't end there. While Usua did admit to forging some of the stones, he later retracted his confession, claiming he had only made the admission to avoid legal trouble, as Peru has strict laws regarding the sale of genuine archaeological artifacts. Some researchers pointed out that while modern forgeries could easily be identified, many of the stones displayed signs of extreme age, with weathering patterns that suggested they were far older than Usua's claimed forgeries. Even more puzzling was the sheer volume of the stone tens of thousands in circulation. Could all of them have been fabricated in recent decades? And if they were indeed forgeries, why would someone go to such lengths to create them? The debate over the Ica stones continues to this day. Those who believe in their authenticity argue that mainstream archaeology is too quick to dismiss anomalous evidence. They point to the massive number of stones, the consistency of their imagery, and the possibility that at least some of them could be genuine. On the other hand, skeptics argue that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and no verifiable proof has been found to support the idea that the stones are ancient. Without a clear archaeological context, such as an undisturbed excavation site to confirm their antiquity, there's little to suggest they are anything more than modern creations. One final possibility is that the Ica stones contain a mixture of genuine artifacts and modern additions. Some researchers have suggested that a small number of authentic carvings depicting known ancient cultural symbols may exist, while the more outlandish images, dinosaurs, surgeries, star maps, could have been added later to attract attention and profit. Regardless of whether they are real or fake, the Ica stones remain one of the most fascinating and contentious mysteries in ancient history. If they are authentic, they challenge everything we know about human history, technology, and the timeline of life on Earth. If they are hoaxes, they stand as one of the most elaborate and persistent fabrications ever created. The Ica stones continue to stir debate, and while we may never have definitive answers about their origins, They serve as a reminder that history is full of unresolved mysteries. Some are etched in stone, others buried beneath the sands of time, and some may yet be waiting to be uncovered.